Shalom, Lakem, Kal Yashara'al. How's your peace, Israel? Welcome back to another video. And we're dealing with the topic at hand, which is the deliverance from Egypt. And we're going to pick it up in the book of Exodus chapter 12, verses 31 to verse 42. And it reads on this wise. During the night, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, Up, leave my people, you and the Israelites. Go worship the Lord as you have requested. Take your flocks and your herds, as you have said, and go, and also bless me. The Egyptians urged the people to hurry and leave the country, for otherwise they said, we will all die. So the people took their dough before the yeast was added, and carried it on their shoulders, in kneading troughs, wrapped in clothing. The Israelites did as Moses instructed us, and asked the Egyptians for articles of silver and gold and for clothing. The Lord had made the Egyptians favorably disposed towards the people, and they gave them what they asked for, so they plundered the Egyptians. The Israelites journeyed from Ramesses to Sukkoth. There were about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children. Many other people went up from them, and also large droves of livestock, both flocks and herds, with the dough the Israelites had brought from Egypt. They baked loaves of unleavened bread. The dough was without yeast because they had been driven out of Egypt and did not have time to prepare food for themselves. Now the length of the time the Israelite people lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of the 430 years, to the very day, all the Lord's divisions left Egypt, because the Lord kept vigil that night to bring them out of Egypt. On this night, all the Israelites are to keep vigil to honor the Lord for their generations to come. Okay, that was the detailed account of Israel's deliverance from slavery in Egypt, including the Passover and the journey towards the Red Sea. We're now going to go into the book of Psalms, chapter 136, verses 10 to verse 15, and it reads on this wise. To him who struck down the firstborn of Egypt, his love endures forever, and brought Israel out from among them, his love endures forever. With a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, his love endures forever. To him who divided the Red Sea asunder, his love endures forever, and brought Israel through the midst of it, his love endures forever. But swept Pharaoh and his armies into the Red Sea, his love endures forever. Okay? That was a recounting of God's deliverance of Israel from Egypt, highlighting his steadfast love. We're going to read out the book of Jubilees, chapter 48, verses 12 to 18. And it reads on this wise. And notwithstanding all these signs and wonders, the prince Mestamar was not put to shame, because he took courage and cried to the Egyptians to pursue after thee with all the powers of the Egyptians, with their chariots and with their horses, and with all the hosts of the peoples of Egypt. And I stood between the Egyptians and Israel, and we delivered Israel out of his hand. And out of his hand of his people. And the Lord brought them through the midst of the sea, as it were dry land. And all the peoples whom he brought to pursue after Israel, the Lord our God cast them into the midst of the sea, into the depths of the abyss beneath the children of Israel. Even as the people of Egypt had cast their children into the river, he took vengeance on 1,000,000 of them, and 1,000 strong and energetic men were destroyed in an account of one suckling of the children of the people which they had thrown into the river. And on the 14th day, and on the 15th, and on the 16th, and on the 17th, and on the 18th, the prince Mestamar was bound and imprisoned behind the children of Israel, that he might not accuse them. And on the 19th we let them loose, that they might help the Egyptians and pursue the children of Israel. And he hardened their hearts and made them stubborn. And the device was devised by the Lord our God, that he might smite the Egyptians and cast them into the sea. And on the 14th we bound him, that he might not accuse the children of Israel, on a day when they asked the Egyptians for vessels and garments, vessels of silver and vessels of gold. and vessels of bronze, in order to despoil the Egyptians in return for the bondage in which they had forced them to serve. And we did not leave forth the children of Israel from Egypt empty handed. Okay, that was the plague on Egypt and Israel's exodus from the land, highlighting the angelic intervention to protect the firstborn sons of Israel. Last scripture is going to be the Testament of Moses, chapter 6, verses 1 to 8. And it reads on this wise: Then shall arise over them kings to reign, and they shall be called priests of the Most High. Most High God, and they shall verily work impiety in the Holy of Holies. And to them shall succeed a self-willing king, who shall not be of the priestly line, a rash and a wicked man. He shall judge them as they deserve. He shall cut off their chief men with the sword and bury them in unknown places, so that no man know where their bodies rest. He shall slay old men and young men, and shall not spare. Then shall there be bitter fear of him among them in their land, and he shall execute judgment upon them as the Egyptians, for 30 and 4 years, and shall punish them. And he shall beget sons that shall succeed him, and reign for shorter periods. In their part shall come the strong and a mighty western king, who shall conquer them and lead them captive, and burn part of their temple with fire, and crucify some around their colony. Okay, that was Moses. Moses' recalls the events of Exodus and the divine signs that were performed to bring Israel out of Egypt. Okay, not sure if that is actually the correct scripture, but I only hope the reader listen to this word will be blessed by this. And may Yahweh bless you. May Yahweh keep you. May Yahweh cause his face to shine upon you. May Yahweh be gracious to you. May Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you. And may Yahweh grant you everlasting peace in Yeshua HaMashiach's name I pray. Selah.